Good morning. A very warm welcome to everyone who has managed to join our webinar this morning. My name is Hazel Langa. I'm the Acting Director responsible for University Relations here at UKZN. I'll be directing the proceedings this morning. It is a great honor and privilege to welcome everyone to this important webinar on introducing UKZN's new program offering, that is the Bachelor of Science in Geographic Information Systems and Earth Observation. This program will be taught for the first time at UKZN in 2022. UKZN is one of the largest, long-standing and most transformed universities in sub-Saharan Africa with a proud and rich heritage of academic excellence. So we are very proud of the work that has been done by our academic researchers in preparing this new academic offering in the KZN region. The exciting field of geographic information systems and Earth observation is one of the fastest growing fields and careers available in the public, private, and academic sectors. Yes, we need young people to join the academic sector so that we can sustain knowledge generation for the future. This morning, our academic will unpack the course content, entrance requirements, various career paths. You'll also be given an opportunity to ask questions and interact with our staff. You'll be able to do so by posting your questions in the Q&A box so that we can then respond after the presentation. You might be asking yourself why you should choose UKZN to do your BSc in GIS and Earth Observation. Well, early this year, the Center for World University Rankings put UKZN in the top 2.5% of world universities, placing it at number 483 out of just under 20,000 universities. So just under 500 out of 20,000 universities globally. This is no mean feat. These rankings are based on an assessment of key academic and institutional indicators, which include things like research outputs, the quality of education, as well as the employability of our graduates. Additionally, UKZN was placed at position 71 globally by the 2020 Times Higher Education Young University Rankings. This was a position 15 advancement since 2019. So every year we are improving. UKZN is the only African university which features in the top 100 of these rankings, which assess research-intensive universities across all their core missions. So I hope this will help you in deciding to partner with UKZN. Once again, a very warm welcome is extended to all parents, learners, and our partners in the basic education sector. I hope you will find this morning's interaction with us fruitful. It is my pleasure to hand over now to Professor John Odindi from the School of Agriculture, Earth and Environmental Studies here at UKZN. Professor Odindi is based on our Pietermaritzburg campus. As you know, we have 5 campuses. So Prof. Odindi is based on our Pietermaritzburg campus where this program will be offered. Prof. Odindi is recognized as one of the best scientific contributors in Africa in his field. So I'm leaving you in very good hands. Professor Odindi is also one of the key people responsible for the development of this new BSc in GIS and Earth Observation. So without any further ado, Professor Odindi, the virtual stage is yours. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ms. Langa, for that introduction. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for creating time to attend our webinar. I will take you through the content of our webinar, and as it has already been indicated, I will talk about what the program is all about, and towards the end, I will provide an indication of the entry requirements to the program. Now, this program will be referred to as Bachelor of Science in GIS Earth Observation, and it will be housed within the School of Agricultural Earth and Environmental Science within the College of Agriculture, Engineering, and Science. Now, for the benefit of our grade 9 to 12 learners who've not had an opportunity to come to the university yet, obviously anybody who has been to the university will probably be already aware of this. I will start by describing what BSc GIS Earth Observation is, and probably start by BSc itself first. Now, what is a BSc? A BSc is commonly awarded to anybody who focuses on stem cells at the university. Now, if you look at my slide there, I've underlined the word commonly. It is not always that, a BSc is only awarded to people who have pursued STEM subjects, science, technology, engineering, and maths. I've had cases whereby somebody will earn a BSc after pursuing a degree in psychology, for instance, or economics, but commonly it is offered to to students who pursue studies in the STEM subjects. And then I've partitioned my GIS Earth Observation into three. The G in the GIS basically stands for geography, which is the study of space and place relationship between people and the environment. And geography in itself is divided into three. I will go into that in much more detail later in the presentation: human geography, physical geography, and environmental management or environmental science. The IS in the GIS simply stands for information systems, which is basically means the capture, the transmission, the storage, the retrieval, the manipulation, and the display of information. Now, information systems can be in anything. You can have a land information system, you can have a business information system, you can have a forestry information system. So an information system can be anything that basically accommodates the capture, the storage, the manipulation, analysis, and the management of any form of data. Now, what is now GIS? GIS is made up of computer hardware, computer software, data, people, and methods designed to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, manage, and present all types of geospatial data. Now, GIS differs from other forms of information systems that I've already mentioned, like business information system, health information system, land information system. It differs from those other information systems in the sense that it specifically focuses on geographical stroke spatial data. And then what is Earth observation? Remember, Earth observation and remote sensing are synonymous. In some cases, they refer to it as Earth observation. In some cases, they refer to it as remote sensing. Now, Earth observation is the acquisition of information about an object or a phenomenon without making physical contact with it. Now, the concept of Earth observation is not entirely new. If you think of your senses, for instance, most of our senses are actually forms of remote sensing. You don't have to put your eye on somebody to see them. You don't have, somebody does not have to be in very close proximity for you to hear what they are saying. You don't have to know that if some food smells good, you don't have to put your nose on food to know that it's smelling good. I mean, we get all this information remotely. And it's pretty much the same concept that we are using in this case. We are gathering and acquiring information about objects or phenomena without necessarily getting into contact with those phenomena or objects. Now, how do we acquire this? We acquire this using sensors. Now, the most common sensor platform are the satellites. Now we have so many satellites orbiting the space, and they illuminate the Earth's surface. And in that process, we can be able to gather our information or data. Now, satellites are not the only platforms that can help us acquire spatial data from objects or phenomena. We have sensors mounted on platforms like aeroplanes, or even of late, drones. Now, why did we decide to start this program? Now, in the recent past, there's been a rapid shift and development towards sensor configuration. In the 1970s and 80s, there were very few satellites orbiting space that could give us remote sensing data. And most of these ventures were actually government-led because they were very expensive. Now, with time, the satellites and sensors have grown quite significantly, in that even the private sector has come on board. So at the moment, we have so many satellites in space, and this in turn is giving us volumes and volumes of data. And then the other thing that has promoted the development of GIS and Earth observation sphere is the improvement in technology. Now, some of us who are older enough, you will realize that 20 years ago, 25 years ago, owning a computer was something very prestigious. With time, it has become almost impossible to do anything without a computer. Computers have become cheaper, computers have become much more advanced, and the softwares there have become much more advanced and user-friendly as well. Now, the increase in sensor technology and the increase, the growth of computing and IT technology has benefited the acquisition of remotely sensed data and GIS in itself. Now, this development and growth could have not been realized if there is no assimilation of that technology. If you have the data and it cannot be used, it is not being accepted within the community, then obviously it is going to impede that growth. Now, the rapid sensor development and the growth in computing, for instance, has led to a growth in the adoption of GIS and Earth observation information. We have the data, we can acquire it, we can use it, and because there is growth in that sphere, obviously there are many more people and fields that are adopting GIS and Earth observation information. Now, this in turn has created a demand for skilled personnel in GIS information. In some cases, the acquisition, the pre-processing, the analysis, and even the dissemination is not just that straightforward. We need skilled personnel to get the best out of this data set. And that's why we've come up with this 3-year program that is going to equip you with the skills to be able to effectively handle these growing sets of GIS and Earth observation data. How are we going to achieve that? We are going to achieve that by taking you through this 3-year program offered at the University of KwaZulu-Natal Pietermaritzburg campus. Now, I'm not saying that there is absolutely a lack of GIS courses, particularly in universities within the country. We have GIS courses, but they are split here and there. You'll get one course in, let's say, a department in geography in a particular university. You'll find another GIS course in a department of computer science, in a department of biology and conservation, for instance. So basically we have this program, but they are not consolidated and training a holistic individual with adequate skills and competency to be able to push the frontiers of GIS and Earth observation data that we have, and to be able to help us optimize the data that is accrued through this process. So basically through this program, the intention is to produce graduates with the ability to integrate theory and application of geospatial technologies and build high-level theoretical and practical skills. We hope that by the time you finish, you'll be a guru in handling this GIS, the growing set of GIS and Earth observation data. Now, this program is aimed at basically building people who intend to pursue two broad career paths. If you want to join industry, then you are catered for in this program. If you want to continue with your studies, if you want to do your honors, you want to do your master's, you want to do your PhD, you are also catered in this program. Now, the industry will be, for instance, if you want to start your own GIS company, if you want to work in the municipality, for instance, if you want to work in the conservation industry, you are going to be catered for in this program. If you want to be an academic, if you want to work in research or work in a research institute, you are going to be catered for in this in this program. Now, what you learn in this program? Now, it is a 3-year program, and these are highly summarized. You are going to learn much more than what is listed in these slides. But much more importantly, you are going to learn how to capture GIS and Earth observation data. How do you store your GIS and Earth observation data? How do you manipulate? How do you organize your data sets? How do you make sense out of that data set through analysis? How do you organize? How do you share? How do you present your spatial data? So throughout this program, you are going to learn all those. At the beginning, I did mention that with GIS Earth observation, we are mainly dealing with geospatial data. And of course, if you remember, I defined geography. Now, geography can be classified into 3 major categories. There is the human geography, there is the physical geography, and where they meet is what we commonly refer to as environmental management or environmental science. Now, what you'll find is that there is use of GIS and Earth observation in all those spatial spheres, in all those broad geographical fields. Now, for instance, let's take human geography, for instance. You are in charge of elections that are coming very, very soon. Using GIS, we can be able to communicate information on the voting patterns of the country. Which province is, for instance, voting for which particular party? Which province has, for instance, more youth voting for a particular party? And all this information obviously can be spatial. And I would encourage you during the forthcoming election, if you look at most of the news, there is a very wide usage of GIS technology and even Earth observation in trying to communicate that information on the political voting patterns within the country. Physical geography, we're mainly dealing with physical aspects of the earth, your rivers, your mountains, your forests, and lakes, and so forth. Again, you can get a place for GIS and Earth observation in helping us spatially analyze all these phenomena. Environmental management, you want to determine, let's say, the rates of deforestation. You want to determine the rates of river pollution and where the sources of the pollution are coming from. We can be able to effectively communicate this through a GIS Earth observation process. So I've listed some of the examples there, and like I've already indicated, these examples are not exhaustive. I really struggle to find anything special that does not have a place for GIS and Earth observation application. So the list I have there is just for demonstration purposes. You can add pretty much anything that you can think of. And in a way, you'll find that you can adopt, you can use GIS to resolve that particular problem or to communicate that information or to handle that particular data set within a particular context. So the examples I've given there is demographic analysis. You want to look at population growth within a particular city, for instance, over the last 10 years. You can easily communicate through that through a GIS process. Topographic analysis. You have a tourist company, for instance, and you want to communicate to your clients how you are going to move within this landscape. You can display that using GIS and Earth observation, remotely sensed data. Resource exploration. Where can I find this particular mineral within a landscape? Using other variables like slope, for instance, like the type of soil, like the type of rocks, we can determine where we can possibly explore a particular mineral. Land management, you're working for the municipality and you're in charge of, let's say, cadastral database. You can be able to identify a parcel of land. You can be able to determine the size. You can link it to a small database that gives you much more detailed information about who owns that particular piece. And of course, display the size of land. Incident mapping. If you're working at a police station within Pietermaritzburg, for instance, you want to identify which area has got the highest prevalence of crime, for instance. You can be able to spatially map that for security purposes. Site selection, you want to identify areas that is most suitable for agriculture based on the amount of rain, based on the soil type, based on underlying lithology, for instance, access to markets. We can be able to identify the most suitable site, let's say, to establish our citrus farm. Natural resource inventories. You want to identify your green spaces within the municipality and whether they are not being or they are being encroached by illegal invaders. We can be able to display such information using GIS technology. Agricultural application. You have a disease infestation within your crop and you want to make a decision whether you should spray it or not. If you can leave it, and of course your crop basically adapts and it continues growing, which basically means you're not going to spend any money, which is a cost that is going to affect your profit, or you've got to be proactive and spray your crop so that you don't lose your crop and incur the losses. We can determine and make decisions based on the areas and the amount of, let's say, spray we can apply to our crop based on the temporal analysis. After 1 week, what was the size that the size of my crop that was affected? After 2 weeks, what was the size? After 3 weeks, what was the size? And at what point do I intervene? So basically, we can use GIS and Earth observation to make a decision on the cropping patterns and crop management. We can actually even use GIS and applied remote sensing to predict our yield, so that at least you know, you tell your markets in advance that, look, I'm only going to be able to supply you with this quantity of produce. Why? Because my crop, I've analyzed my crop using GIS and applied remote sensing or Earth observation, and I've realized that my output, based on the plant characteristics, I can only be able to produce this amount of crop at the end of the year. So we can find the usage of GIS and Earth observation pretty much on any field we can think of. Who should study this program? I would say anyone who is interested in spatial analysis. If you are dealing with anything that is spatial and probably temporal, then of course you'll find usage in GIS and Earth observation, and therefore you can join this program. Specifically, if you are going to deal with the data acquisition, if you are going to deal with data integration, and if you are going to analyze that data, then obviously you are welcome to this program. Anybody interested in spatial analysis, is going to find a home in this program. Now, at the beginning of the program, you are going to be introduced to a broad range of fields, and this will be typically at first year level. And for you to assimilate the skills that are going to be taught in this course, you need a background in these subjects. There could be more, but obviously these are the major ones. I've not probably included agriculture, for instance, if you are interested in agriculture. But these are the major ones. Obviously, you are going to work on computers a lot. GIS and Earth observation are almost purely computer driven. You are going to do some calculations, so you'll need some knowledge in maths and statistics. For instance, you are going to apply GIS and Earth observation in environmental management, so your knowledge in environmental science is going to be very, very important. It is a geographic field, like I defined it, GIS. G in GIS stands for geography. So you are going to have to be very well versed with geographic concepts. And then, of course, there are subjects like biology. We are going to get into conservation biology. Then, obviously, basic concepts in biology are going to be very important. So you are going to be introduced to all these subjects at first year level. And at the beginning, the program is going to be mainly multidisciplinary. And then, of course, you are going to specialize as you go into second year, third year, where you are going to basically start picking GIS-oriented courses. So the GIS-oriented, GIS and Earth observation-oriented courses are going to increase in number as you move into second year and third year. Now, like I said earlier, I'm not able to list everything that you're going to learn in this program. It's a 3-year program, and you're going to learn a lot. By the time you finish this program, obviously you'll have learned a lot. But I thought it will be important to basically highlight some of the concepts that you are going to go through, that you'll encounter in the GIS and in the BSc GIS and Earth observation program. You are going to understand GIS data structures. There's something we refer to as vector data and raster data. You're going to learn about that. You are going to learn about spatial data acquisition and storage. How do I get my data from, let's say, a satellite portal, for instance? How do I capture my data using a GPS from on the ground, for instance? You are going to learn concepts on vector and raster data, and of course, their accompanying software, vector data processing, spatial analysis, principles of remote sensing, satellite platforms, image acquisition, pre-processing of satellite data to make the best out of them, image analysis, and you are obviously going to be exposed to a range of GIS and Earth observation applications. These are just examples. Urban studies, for instance, agricultural applications, forestry and conservation, and so forth and so forth. Now, I can confidently say that as a department, we are very, very well equipped to offer this program. We have world-class academic staff. All our staff actually have PhDs. All the staff who are going to be involved in this program have got PhDs, and they are supported by exceptionally competent support staff, both technical and administrative. So staff-wise, we are very confident that we are going to deliver a very good course to you. And then the discipline is also resourced by a state-of-the-art computer laboratory. Now, of course, a laboratory is just a building. We are equipped with very high-end computers that are normally replaced, I think, every 3 years. And we try to update our hardware with the latest software to handle GIS and Earth observation data. So we have a luxury of having high-end computers complemented with high-end softwares to help you learn the course. And then, of course, we have a range of other teaching equipment. We've got spectrometers within the department. We've got servers to help us handle Earth observation data. We have image repositories that we use to archive historical images, which are very, very important in not only understanding GIS and Earth observation concepts, but also helping you and putting you through the paces of becoming gurus in analyzing GIS and Earth observation data. Mode of delivery. This program is obviously going to be executed, is going to be imparted through lectures, weekly practicals and weekly practical tasks and assignments. And at the third year level, we are going to be exposed with a mini dissertation. Now, remember, if you go into honors, for instance, or if you go to industry, you'll be expected to communicate your analysis. You'll be expected to identify a problem. You'll be expected to do your analysis. Much more importantly, you'll be expected to communicate your analysis either to your authorities or policymakers or your clients. It is therefore very necessary that we take you through the process of doing basic research of how do you acquire that data, how do you assemble that data, how do you analyze it, and how do you communicate it. So at third year level, you'll be exposed to a mini project of limited scope that will pretty much train you on how to communicate your research results. Of course, we have tutorials within the discipline. These are basically just to help you come through the program, syndicate groups, and of course, much more importantly, there will be a lot of your personal input through independent self-study in getting through the program. At the end of the program, you'll demonstrate extensive knowledge of the broad field of GIS Earth observation. You'll know everything about GIS and Earth observation datasets. You'll know everything about platforms. You'll know everything about assembling data, about pre-processing, analysis, communication, and of course, effectively displaying your results in a spatial format. You'll also demonstrate problem solving on a range of the spatial challenges. Now, once you've gone through a course, you'll be very adaptive. You can work in any environment. Why? Because we intend to take you through a range of applications that probably you might find yourself in. You'll adapt to any spatial analysis requirements in the field or in an academic environment. This just aimed to make you versatile and much more marketable. So you are not going to say, okay, look, I only learned about this, so because I'm working on the municipality and I learned about forestry or something with in school, I can't be able to do this. We are going to expose you to a range of applications to basically make you ready for the job market or for postgraduate studies. And then at the end of the program, you'll demonstrate basic skills that involve assembly, analysis, dissemination, and dissemination of geospatial data. Like I said, we are going to expose you to research skills of limited scope. Of course, we understand that you're not doing honors or masters, but we believe that exposing you at this early stage, of course, will equip you with the necessary skills that will make you an all-round GIS and Earth observation expert. What are the entry requirements to this program? Now, like I indicated earlier, at first year level, you will take modules in math, statistics, computer science, geography, physics, and biological sciences. This then requires that at least you have some knowledge oriented towards these disciplines. Of course, we understand that some of these subjects, like statistics, for instance, or physics, are not offered in high school. But obviously, these are offered in the science subjects. So basically, you will need 28 points, National Senior Certificate 28 points, with a level 4 in English, life orientation, maths, and sciences at matric. So you'll need 28 points and at least level 4 in English, life orientation, maths, and a science subjects in your matric. Now, this program is going to take you 4 years. Obviously, after 4 years, you'll make a decision whether you want to exit and go work in the industry, or you want to proceed into an honors, probably a master's and a PhD program. Now, you're probably asking, what are the career paths? What is in for me after I finish this program? The beauty of this program is that what you can do is boundless. You can find a home in anything that requires spatial analysis. And again, I've just listed a few: defense and intelligence, defense mapping and surveillance, reconnaissance, natural resource management, agriculture and forestry, environmental monitoring, conservation and research, wildlife conservation, marine conservation, coastal conservation, development and construction, land management, utility management, geosciences, cartography, hydrology, disaster response, natural hazards, floods, landslides, law enforcement, policing, city planning, urban planning and monitoring, and so forth and so forth. Now, these are just examples. You'll, like I've already indicated, you will find a home in virtually anything that requires spatial analysis. You'll find that the skills that you have learned in this program will be very, very handy, and obviously will give you an advantage over other similar applicants. So thanks for that. We've put together a 5 minutes video. If you could just spend some 5 minutes to listen to this video about the program that I've just presented. Thank you, Ms. Lang.
We live in a world of technology. Many private and public entities continue to experience rapid growth in volumes of spatial data that they process every day. This has led to an increasing demand for skilled personnel in GIS and Earth observation. What is GIS? GIS, short for Geographic Information Systems, is a computer system for capturing, storing, checking, and displaying data related to positions on Earth's surface. GIS can show many different kinds of data on a map, such as streets, buildings, and vegetation. This enables people to see, analyze, and understand patterns and relationships more easily, and to capture and analyze spatial and geographic data. GIS is a combination of computer hardware, software, personnel, and procedures. What is Earth observation? Earth observation, also known as remote sensing, is gathering of information about physical, chemical, and biological systems of planet Earth without making physical contact. Such information can be acquired via remote sensing technologies and by ground-based techniques, for example by sensors mounted on platforms such as satellites, fixed-wing aeroplanes, helicopters, drones, or hot air balloons. My name is John Odindi and I am a professor at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Among other qualifications, I have a BSc in GIS and Applied Remote Sensing and a PhD in Environmental Geography with a focus on remote sensing of plant invasive species. At UKZN, we are meeting increasing demand for qualified specialists in GIS and Earth observation. We have created a new exciting and innovative 3-year Bachelor of Science degree program in GIS and Earth Observation. The course is offered within the discipline of Geography in the School of Agricultural, Earth and Environmental Sciences based on UKZN's Pietermaritzburg campus. In our BSc GIS Earth Observation program, you will learn how to collect, store, process, analyze, display, and communicate geospatial data. Our program aims to develop and build high-level theoretical and practical skills in spatial data analysis using GIS and remote sensing technologies and datasets. The undergraduate degree provides an intensive educational opportunity designed to equip students with scientific understanding and practical know-how for either a career in geospatial industry or prepare them for postgraduate studies. The 3-year degree comprises theoretical lectures, practical sessions, and competency-based tests and exams. Graduates of UKZN BSc GIS Earth Observation degree will be able to integrate theory and the application of geospatial technologies. They will have mastered the fundamental theoretical and practical aspects of Geo-Information and Earth Observation and its relevance to understanding physical and natural systems. Exciting job opportunities in the GIS Earth Observation sphere include working for land and aerial mapping and survey companies, analytics solutions companies, engineering and architecture firms, environmental and geomatics consultancy firms, asset monitoring and management companies, IT companies, the real estate industry, or research organizations and institutes. With a BSc GIS Earth Observation degree, you can become a climate scientist, a forester, a conservationist, a manager, a health geographer, or even an app developer. Join us for the 3-year BSc GIS Earth Observation degree at UKZN's Pietermaritzburg campus to open your Geo-Information world. Don't miss this key to an exciting future.
Well, thank you so much, Professor Odindi, for such an insightful presentation and that interesting video that Sally has just shared. You managed to unpack complex scientific concepts to us in such a simple and clear manner, especially to people who were hearing about GIS for the first time. It was interesting to learn about the interdisciplinary nature of GIS and Earth observation, and how it is applied to human, physical, and natural processes daily, which then confirms that career areas are endless. Well, as much as you explained, I'm sure there are still many questions, as we have seen in the Q&A box, where our guests would still need more clarity. So I will open the floor to questions. And participants, you can raise your hand or post questions in the Q&A facility. And then Professor Odindi and Sally, as well as Vijay, will be able to respond to those. Just to kickstart, let me see if we have, I saw earlier there was someone who raised their hand. No, it's gone. So we can just start by responding to some of the questions that have been posted on a box. The first one is, so how is this degree different from BSc in Environmental Science and BSS in Geography and Environmental Management? Prof?
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Response?
Yeah, thanks a lot for that question. If you are doing BSc in Environmental Management, you and
sorry, Prof. Prof. May we please have your video on?
Okay. Thanks for that question. In geography, currently we are offering two degrees. There is a BSc in environmental science and a Bachelor of Social Sciences in Geography and Environmental Management. Now, if you look at this program from first year, you are going to concentrate on geography and to some degree environmental management subjects. Now, in the GIS and Earth observation degree, the courses that we are going to take are courses that are going to lay a foundation specifically for spatial analysis. Again, if you look at those two degrees that I've just mentioned, I think there are basically two GIS courses that we are going to take all through your academic career. So if 1 year, I think you take how many courses? 4. 8 times 4 is 24 modules. Out of the 24 modules, you are only going to take 2 courses in GIS and applied remote sensing. It is the introduction to GIS, which is referred to as ENVS 211, and geography, and I think GIS and applied remote sensing, which is referred to as ENVS 316. You're only going to take 2. Now, in this program, by the time you finish, out of the 24 modules, more than half are going to be directly related to spatial analysis. And the rest, like math, like statistics, like conservation, are modules that are specifically going to create a basis for you to understand spatial analysis. So at the end of the day, BSc GIS and Earth observation is almost a purely spatial analysis course, while those other ones, geography and environmental management, are courses that are going to basically give you only 2 modules in GIS and Earth observation, but you'll have geography, population geography there. You'll have biogeography there. You'll have human geography there, population geography, urban geography. Those are geography-oriented courses. This is a spatial analysis degree. I hope I've answered the question.
Thanks, Prof, for that. Let's move on to the next question from Zintle Ngubane. Zintle is interested in knowing if our new BSc is accredited with SHEC and whether there would be RPL for people who qualified with the generic BSc in environmental science.
The challenge with using an acronym, it can mean anything. If they could just explain to me what RPL means, but
it's recognition of prior learning, Prof.
Okay. There is basically...
So that means right now, this person already has a generic BSc in environmental science. So they want to know if with that, they'd be considered to enter into this program.
You see, the challenge with that is that I don't know whether the person wants to start another new undergraduate degree. In this case, if they would ask me, I would tell them, why don't you try and register for an honors if you already have those GIS and Earth observation modules with an intention of basically doing research in GIS and Earth observation. If they have prior learning, that is very good. All the candidate needs to do is to put together a portfolio of evidence of prior experience in a particular field, and that is going to be evaluated very, very differently. It's not going to be considered like somebody who's just come from matric. There's a portfolio that you put together, and I think this is accepted in pretty much all the programs. If you can show evidence that you basically done what is required to meet the entry requirements for this program, then there will be that consideration. But it's a whole totally different different process. So I would assume, yes, that there is going to be provision for recognition of prior learning by putting together a portfolio that is going to be evaluated, and then a determination going to be made on that. Thanks.
Thanks, Prof. I've noticed that there are also questions about the entrance requirements. So may I please ask Dr. Frost to just repeat those so that our guests then just remember them.
Okay, to do the BSc GIS Earth Observation degree, for matric, you need to get an APS score of 28 points. That's the minimum. And I must stress, if you get 28, it doesn't necessarily mean you will be accepted, because there are a limited number of spaces and applicants are taken from the highest point scorers down. So please do the best you can in your grade 11 and matric results, because they make a big difference to your future. But core subjects is you need to have English, core maths. Unfortunately, maths literacy will not be accepted for any science degree. You need to have LO, and you need to have one science. So either physical science or life science or animal science. Agric science. And these all need to be at level 4, which is a 50% pass rate. There was a question, do you need geography? No, you don't. You will be accepted if you don't have geography for matric, but you won't be accepted if you don't have one of the sciences.
Thanks, Dr. Frost. We have another one from Sipho Mdluli, who would like to know if this new offering offers an honors program. Prof, I think you covered this earlier, but just to recap, and if yes, this person would like to know if they can enroll into the honors program with a BSc in hydrology.
Yeah, thanks, thanks, Chair Lady. We don't have a similar honor. Remember, this program is only starting next year, and it's a process. Once we have a cohort of our undergraduate students, then of course we can think of developing an honors program and probably a master's program. But a master's within our school is just referred to as an MSc, of course, with a specific specialization. But we have an exit and an articulation rather of this program in environmental science. So after exiting this program, you can still go into environmental science there. And then of course we have a range of courses. And because you want to pursue this program, your bias of selection of courses will be towards spatial analysis and Earth observation. Now, I don't want to make a promise, but of course we are thinking of starting a program. Don't hold me to this. We are planning of starting a program. Once we have the undergraduate program rolling, we will think of starting an honors program on this. But still, you can still pursue a Bachelor of Science in Environmental Science, bias in Earth observation and GIS and Earth observation, and even specialize more at master's level, where you are going to do a research project specifically on spatial analysis. So there is that avenue. We will think about starting an honors program. Of course, it is in our minds, yes, but I don't want to promise. I don't want to be held on that. Sorry, the other question was? There was a second question.
Prof, you know what? I cannot see it now.
Okay,
I'll look for it, but maybe let's just move on to the next set of. Yeah. The other questions are around about the delivery of the program. So author Richards would like to know how often will conduct sessions take place in Pietermaritzburg, whereas Fezega would like to know if the program will be offered on a part-time basis. So I think they are linked, so we can just cover the mode of delivery. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And unfortunately, this program is not available part-time. Of course, we know that there are so many people out there who want to run their careers concurrently with the advancing their studies. Now, unfortunately, the design of the program, it doesn't provide provision for part-time learning, because we have a timetable structure that will require you to be on campus almost on a daily basis. Now you are attending in the morning, and you are not just attending GIS courses, you are attending all those other modules that I spoke about: statistics, biology, computer science, and so forth and so forth. And then in the afternoons, you'll be doing the practicals. And that's why the program is scheduled for 3 years. So we would have wished, but unfortunately at the moment, the program is not offered part-time. It is a full-time program, and you'll have to be on campus almost 5 days a week to be able to see through the program.
Thanks, Prof. We also have a hand raised by Mina. Mina, you can go ahead. Shakila, please unmute.
Please go ahead.
Mina, you can proceed.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see that my hand has been raised accidentally. So sorry about that. But I'm very, maybe I could just say, this seems like a very exciting program. I was just wondering, though, whilst I do have the platform, in terms of the GIS and remote sensing, if you're also in your practicals going to incorporate anything regarding calibrations, measurements, in terms of the science of measurement, not just for the practical of the application, but specific to the sensors themselves in terms of quality control.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Mina. That's a very important question. And normally in GIS and Earth observation, we normally say that you can spend your energy doing the most impressive analysis, but if it is not accurate, then of course it's going to be useless. It basically means that whoever is going to use that information is going to arrive at an erroneous decision. Is going to make an erroneous decision. Why? Because that information is not accurate. And one of the basic processes we do in GIS and remote sensing is what we refer to as accuracy assessment. Is what I claim to have analyzed exactly exist on the ground? And if it is not, then depending on what is going to be used for that data set, then of course I've got to advise accordingly that you're going to use this data set, but it's got this level of error. If you're going to use it for precise measurements, then of course you better not do it. But ultimately, of course, you are aiming to generate accurate data and accurate information that can be useful for accurate decision making. So to answer your question, yes, there are so many quality control principles in this course to ensure that ultimately the information that you generate, the analysis that you do, is actually useful and can be used to make informed decisions. And one thing we normally tell students is, if you're working for a consultancy organization, you make the analysis and then somebody picks that information. The clients take that information and makes a decision based on erroneous decision. Then of course, sometimes the repercussion can be so severe. So yes, it is true that the course is going to incorporate all the quality control, what we commonly refer to as accuracy assessment, in training the students. Thanks.
Thanks, Prof. We have a follow-up question from Ms. Botha Richards, who is inquiring on behalf of her dad, who is interested in this program. The issue here is that he passed his matric in 1984. If they add up his APS score, he gets 26 points. So he did maths, pure maths, and physical science, and all were at higher grade at that time. He also did a BCom. Would you consider such an applicant?
Probably Sally can help me in this, but I don't think there's any form of discrimination if you want to advance your studies. It really doesn't matter. You've seen people getting their degrees in their 70s. What I'm not sure is what would have been the equivalent of that qualification converted into current terms. If it matches, then I don't see a reason why not. Probably Sally can help me here.
Yes, Prof. The answer to that question is yes, he would be accepted because there's a specific entry rule in the handbook that is geared towards older applicants, whereby it recognizes prior learning. So it would be a specific rule. I can't remember the name offhand that his application would be accepted by. So yes, please apply.
Great. Can we just take one last question? It's a hand from Lindo Buhle Kulu. So Lindo Buhle, Shakila. So.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. I asked the question before, and then Dr. Sally Frost actually recommended that I ask it live. So I was asking if, will someone who holds a BSS honors in Geographic and Environmental Management be recognized in terms of the selection? Or will they need to have like the equivalent of a matric in terms of mathematics and all the other requirements?
So sorry, Linda Kugle, I'm struggling to hear you. Please, can you just repeat your question, please?
Oh, okay, sorry. I was asking if someone who has a BSS honors degree in Geography and Environmental Management will be considered as recognition to prior learning and acceptance to the actual degree.
So basically, do you intend to start your undergrad in BSc GIS and Earth Observation after your honors, or what?
Yes, that's the actual thing, Prof.
So did you do ENVS 211 at undergrad at second year level?
Yes.
And you did 316 as well?
Yes.
And then which modules did you do for your honors? For the spatial analysis, did you do analytical GIS and advanced spatial modeling?
Yes, the 712.
Okay, and you did the 720 advanced remote sensing?
Yes.
Yeah. So my question is, why would you consider to start an undergraduate degree when this module can actually open you an opportunity to do a master's?
The thing, Prof, is you see within GIS there are like different techniques that you would like to learn besides being specifically to being in master specialization.
So you basically want to exit at honors level and go and start an undergrad degree in this program?
Yes, after having seen what the other modules they'll offer.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm just wondering, because if it were me, I would have considered going into a master's degree. And in that master's degree, what you can do is that you can pick some of those modules for non-degree purposes so that you don't have to repeat. Because remember, you have already spent 6 years and then you want to spend another 6 years. So if I were you, I would consider joining a master's class, and then there's a provision. And again, I would request Sally to help me here. You can register for, so long as you are a fully registered student, you can register for some modules for non-degree purposes without paying if you are doing a master's program. And probably if they go beyond a particular threshold, then you can consider paying for them so that you cover those important modules that you feel you need skills in. Because at master's level, at honors level, I can tell you, you've already covered so much ground in modules that you could have covered in first year and second year in this program. And to me, it will not be a wise use of resources in terms of money and time to go and start a new undergrad program. Probably Sally has got a different opinion on this.
Thanks, Prof. I was going to say exactly the same thing. I would recommend that you register for specific GIS modules that you want for NDP, non-degree purposes. And then you will have them. So when you're seeking employment, they will count. I wouldn't go back and start right again at first year.
So that's Sally. So I'm thinking it would be great also for Lindo Buhle to connect with Prof and you, Sally, offline, so that he can get proper, guidance and have a proper discussion with him one-on-one. So
I'll put both our emails in the chat, Hazel.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, colleagues and our guests, this brings us to the end of our webinar. We thank you for taking time off your busy schedule to join us in order to learn about our new and exciting academic offering in the form of the BSc in GIS and Earth Observation. I would like to also acknowledge my colleagues, Shakila, Vijay, Sally, and Kurt, for everything that you did behind the scenes to ensure that we have a successful event. Also, a big thanks to Professor Odindi for the presentation and for responding to questions. I know we have some of our educators from the basic education sector. So a recording of this webinar will be available, is currently available even now on our YouTube channel. If you wish to go back and just take a look at what was presented or play it to your learners at school. I also just want to remind our colleagues from the high schools community that the schools liaison team is always readily available to present to your schools. If you wish to introduce the program maybe to your grade 9 learners, you can contact Vijay, who is part of this panel today. There's also Innocent and Morena. If you go to our Study at UKZN website, you will find their contact details there. You can contact them even on WhatsApp during office hours. To grade 12 learners who have not applied to study at UKZN in 2022, you are left with just a few days to do so. So please do not miss out on an opportunity to join us next year. You do so by applying through the Central Applications Office before the 30th of September. So do not be left out. And also to grade 11s and 12s in general, meeting our minimum requirements, entrance requirements, does not guarantee acceptance into any of our programs. So you need to work hard, as Dr. Odindi and Prof. Odindi and Dr. Frost alluded earlier. Meeting the 28 points is not a guarantee that you will be accepted. So you need to work hard, because you start selecting from the highest APS. So please work hard. To matriculants, we wish you all the best for your grade 12 examinations, and we look forward to welcoming you to UKZN in 2022. So I wish you all a wonderful weekend. Goodbye.